What's up, comic book community? My name is Joe, and this is 360 Comics. Every May, comic book stores across the country host Free Comic Book Day. And this is a day where newcomers to the hobby, veteran collectors, and everyone in between can go out to their local comic shop and pick up some free comic books. And as it turns out, some of those books that have been given out for free have retained some value. They have a key significance that is notable enough to be worth something, and we're going to talk about 10 of them today. Stay tuned. Originally, I was going to be announcing a winner for our Double Slab giveaway tonight live on Instagram, but instead, I'm doing a claim sale with James from Mint Hunter Comics, and tomorrow we will be announcing a winner live on Instagram. So you have one extra day to enter. If you haven't done so yet, go check out our Double Slab giveaway video from 2 weeks ago. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like that video, and leave a comment with your favorite interesting fact about Marvel and DC for your chance to win one of 2 slabs. Good luck. So the history of Free Comic Book Day dates back 20 years ago to 2002 when the inaugural event happened. It was basically used as a marketing tool by Diamond Distributors, one of the major comic book distributors in our country. And it was a way to get new people into the hobby as well as getting old readers interested in the new stories that are coming out. Sometimes they reprint issue number 1s or significant issues of popular titles to get people reading that and, help them start off with the availability that might be much more affordable than the first printing. And sometimes they actually preview the stuff that's coming out in the near future. So there end up being some first appearances in these books. And they're, sometimes valuable. So we're going to talk about a bunch of those today. I left out any reprint books. These are all original stories that were either to help get people into the hobby or to kind of give a little prelude to what is coming in the future of a run. So first of all, we're going to go back just a few years to 2020 to this book right here. This is Amazing Spider-Man / Venom, Free Comic Book Day book 2020. Now, this was an interesting one because if you remember 2020, there was a global pandemic, which started in March, but we're still doing lockdowns and isolation and stuff like that into the month of May. And in fact, Free Comic Book Day did not happen in May of 2020. It was pushed back, and I believe it was in August, September, October, sometime in like the fall area, the beginning of fall. I don't remember exactly what month, but nonetheless, this book was supposed to come out in March, but it did not. And it was actually supposed to be the first appearance of Virus, but I think it ended up being like the second or third appearance. It is the first appearance chronologically as far as the storyline goes, but what actually came out first was a different issue of Venom that premiered this character. Now, a lot of people picked up this book and, kind of held on to it as thinking that it was the first. I see it listed as the first appearance of Virus sometimes. It is not, but it is still a significant book and holds about a $5 value. It certainly was worth more than that at one point, but, due to that distribution error and things like that, it does not seem to be the book that people go after anymore. And this is actually very similar to the first appearance of Gambit, which actually is X-Men Annual 14. That was the first released book with Gambit in, the full story. But X-Men 266 with that great Gambit cover, that is chronologically the first book storyline-wise. That was supposed to come out first, but again, that was a distribution error, kind of similar to this situation. Next, we have a pretty interesting one for those of you who are fans of the Peanut comic strip and Charlie Brown. This is Unseen Peanuts, released in 2007, and this was actually a collection of Peanuts comics that had never been printed before. I don't know too much about it other than that, but I have to assume, given that is like one of the most beloved, comic strips ever, and it, ran forever, it might even still be running in some newspapers. I'm not really sure what the deal is with that because I don't really get the newspaper. But Charlie Brown is a staple of multiple generations, and this was a cool way to share some of those untold stories. So we have Unseen Peanuts from 2007. Then we've got a book that just came out this year. Yes, this is from Free Comic Book Day 2022, and this is Avengers and X-Men Judgment Day. This was the prelude, the kind of the announcement, prequel or whatever to the Judgment Day run that I believe is currently happening right now in Marvel, or maybe just wrapped up. But nonetheless, this actually features the first appearance of Blade's daughter, Bloodline. And given that we have had some speculation, some rumors about this character coming to the MCU, possibly as early as the Blade movie, which is kind of in limbo right now. It was slated for, I believe, 2023. It might be delayed to 2024 now. Or no, maybe it was slated for 2024 and it's being pushed back a little bit. I'm not really sure. Not super up to date on all that stuff. When it comes, it'll come and I'll watch it and I'll probably be really happy with it. But this character, Bloodline, Blade's daughter, may end up making an appearance. Certainly, I think that picking up the first appearance of a child of a major character is probably always a good bet if you can get it cheap, especially if you can get it free. I picked up a couple copies of this, and in fact, I have one graded at a 9.8 that is staying in my personal collection for now. But yeah, this book sells raw for between $5 and $10. It actually, I think, was a little bit more than that, kind of selling for like $15 when those rumors started, but has since settled down as things usually do. Still, a free book being worth about $5 is a win in my book. So look out for that one. That one definitely has some potential. Next, we're going to move on to some Star Wars, and we're talking about Clone Wars Adventures 2004. Now, the Adventures comics, most comics with adventures in the name are geared towards kids. Think about X-Men Adventures geared towards the animated series of, the X-Men animated series. Same with Batman Adventures with the Batman animated series. And of course, this is Clone Wars, which was an animated Star Wars series. The significance of this book, though, that came out in 2004, this is the first appearance of General Grievous in comic books, which is, that's a pretty important character in the Star Wars universe, especially, the prequel trilogy and things, developing around the Clone Wars and all the stuff that happened around that time period in Star Wars. So, it's got this goofy kind of cartoony cover, but nonetheless, I think it depicts the character really well, front and center on the cover, and is definitely a key book worth looking out for. In fact, at the height of the market, this and a 9.8 was worth like $400+. It has since come down into the 200s, I believe, but is still a nice book to pick up, and high-grade raw copies still sell for around $30. So definitely look out for this one. One thing to note, which I meant to mention in the beginning, but I'm going to mention it now, is that they used to, and some stores even still do, stamp these Free Comic Book Day books with a store stamp, and that kind of added an extra level of advertisement for that local store, just in case these books changed hands. People would say, oh, here's this comic shop. Stores, most of them at least, stopped doing that because it does lower the value of the books. You really want to find ones without the store stamps. That being said, a lot of them have the store stamps, and that is why these books hold a decent amount of value, because there are less of them out there, despite them given out for free, because so many of them were stamped. That being said, we're moving on to the next one, and this is an anime-related one. Anime is not my thing, so I apologize if I say something wrong, but we have One Punch Man and My Hero Academia. These are two anime series, I believe. At least I'm pretty sure about that. Maybe I'm wrong. But they are really, really popular. I've heard these names thrown around a lot, especially My Hero Academia when I was an elementary school teacher a couple years ago, which, for those of you who don't know, that was my original career in my 20s. I have since changed out of that, but I would hear kids talk about My Hero Academia all the time. So I know that's really popular, and this is both the first appearance of both One Punch Man and My Hero Academia in standard size US comic books. Now I would assume that they appeared in manga first, but maybe it took a while for them to come into US comics, which is a pretty typical thing. Same thing with Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z, but those first American appearances are often valued, especially among American collectors. Moving on, we got the book I showed in the beginning here. This is Amazing Spider-Man from 2007. And be careful, because there's another Amazing Spider-Man comic that has a very similar cover, all white background, and Spidey on the front doing this like movement towards you. That one is not worth nearly as much. The way you can really tell is the Spider-Man on the other one, the other free comic book day book, is drawn kind of funky. It's like a little like weird looking, almost like his like bones are broken. Like I feel like it's just like anatomically less correct than this one. But, nonetheless, this is the one you want to look out for. This is the first cameo appearance of Mr. Negative, who has definitely become a more popular Spider-Man character over the last 15 years or so since he first debuted in this book, and is also the first appearance of Jackpot. The cool thing about this is, if you want to get it for a more affordable price, there is a reprinted version of this, which I think is called like... It's some kind of director's cut. I forget the exact name of the issue, but I'm sure you can search it up online, and it reprints this exact story. Nonetheless, this is the one you want to pick up for value. It sells for, probably about $25, $30, maybe even more than that in a high-grade raw, and 9.8s are worth a significant amount, although I did see a recent 9.8 sale, like around $100 or something, so I'm not sure if that just slipped through the cracks or the price has come down significantly on this, but I think this is a good book to have and to hold in the future, because those are two characters that certainly could be utilized at some point, so we will have to wait and see about that. Next, moving on to the Image universe, or rather the Invincible universe, we have Wolfman, the Astounding Wolfman #1. This is the first appearance of this character. It's a free comic book day book, and it it predates the first ongoing. As well as that, this character has been utilized in Invincible, I know in the comics, and possibly also in the television show. I don't know. I have not watched a single episode of the television show. I know I'm behind. I need to get on that, and I need to get on The Boys as well. Without going too much off topic, there is a Boys #1 that was reprinted at Free Comic Book Day. I think that was 2 years ago, and that is a really cheap version of that to pick up if you want to read it. But anyway, we're talking about this book. This book holds a value of about $20, $25 raw. It was more than that, obviously, during the comic boom, but it has since come down. Invincible, still really, really popular, so I could see it definitely holding some value into the future. Then we're moving over to Dark Horse, and this right here was the first ever appearance of Umbrella Academy in comics. This predates the first limited series, which I think was Apocalypse Suite, if I remembered. That's how Umbrella Academy always is. It's in limited series. There's no like ongoing, and it works really well because each limited series has a season of the show to go along with. Yeah, we got Umbrella Academy, Free Comic Book Day. I forget what year this was. Oh, actually, you know what? I do remember, because all three of these, the Spider-Man, the Wolfman, and the Umbrella Academy, coincidentally, were all in 2007. All of them in 2007. So if you were going to Free Comic Book Day around that time, you might want to check on your collection, your back issues and stuff like that, because you could very well have all three of these, and they all hold a pretty significant value for a book that was given out for free. And of course, you want the ones that are not stamped in that spot. Always check that. And sometimes the stamped spot is on the back, so you might need to look at the back before you really know. Anyway, moving on to a DC book we've got here. I think this is the only DC one that I had in the bunch. This is the New 52 Free Comic Book Day. This came out in 2012, shortly after the initial New 52 run started. And this is, interestingly enough, the first appearance of Simon Baz. A lot of people get this mixed up with Green Lantern Zero, which is his first cover appearance, and I believe his second appearance, but this is actually the first full appearance of Simon Baz, and this one is, again, tough to find. That's a copy that is not stamped there, so you always got to look for that. There also is one that has like something stuck to it. I forget if it's like stapled or like has a sticker on it or something like that, but I think a significant amount of them had like an advertisement put on the front. So you got to watch out for those as well. They still have some value, but not nearly as much as these nice, clean, blank copies. Being that we're getting a Green Lantern show on HBO Max, now I do know that they recently have pivoted away from multiple lanterns and gone towards the focus on John Stewart, but that doesn't mean that other lanterns won't be showing up. So Simon Baz might end up making an appearance. Who knows? We'll have to wait and find out. The very last book, and a pretty interesting one right here, is another Star Wars Clone Wars book. This is not Clone Wars Adventures. This is just a regular Clone Wars run. And this is the first appearance of Savage Opress, who's on the front. And interestingly enough, it is a phenomenal cover, but it actually has another book on the back. Because sometimes Free Comic Book Day books are multiple different stories. So as we saw before, the first book we talked about was Spider-Man and Venom. It previewed what was happening in Spider-Man as well as what was happening in Venom. But on the back of this, check this out. Bada bing, bada boom. Avatar: The Last Airbender, an extremely popular television show from Nickelodeon. I was just a little old when this came out. I wasn't really watching Nickelodeon anymore, but I plan on going back and watching this because I've only ever heard good things from my friends that are even just a few years older than me. I did watch the first episode, and I definitely think I could get into it, so I definitely want to at some point, but this is a double key right here, and it's interesting because it's a double key towards two different fandoms. We've got the first appearance of a Star Wars character, and we have the first appearance of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Aang, I believe the character's name is, if I remember correctly. His first appearance in comic books. Yeah, this is a big one. This is a one that you really want to find. And again, you can't tell on the Star Wars side because the blank space is on the Avatar side, but always look out. Make sure that it's not stamped. And sometimes it's a good idea to look through the comic book because some stores did stamp on like the inside front cover and stuff like that. I've found those before. They just find a blank spot and stamp it there. So it's not on the outside, but they're still, promoting their store, which, hey, it's okay. I'm not knocking them or anything, but most people at this point do not want stamped stuff. So, any store that's out there that's still stamping, just think about it. I understand publicity and advertisement, very, very important, especially if you're running a brick and mortar store. But, maybe you can get more people showing up if you don't stamp the books. That's just my food for thought. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. It was a little bit, different than the normal haul videos. And you might notice that I've started gearing myself towards other types of videos, and I do really enjoy doing this, so hopefully you do too. You can let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel because we're going to be picking a winner for our giveaway tomorrow night live on Instagram, and then I'll be announcing two giveaways, two more, because we are getting close to 9,000 Instagram followers, so I got to do a giveaway for that. And then we're also getting close to 2,500 subscribers on YouTube, so I got to do a giveaway for that. So we'll be running two giveaways at the same time until they both end. But anyway, that's it. That's all I've got for you today. Hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, turn the page, wash your hands.